Now we're going to have a mock election for you guys that we're holding later on today. We're going to have presentations for you guys about different propositions and different presidential candidates and senates. You know, we're all setting this up so that you guys can be informed a little bit, you know, and because there's a very low voter turnout between our age range, you know, I know we can't vote right now, but when we get to 18 and then up to about 25 or in their 20-somethings, you know, they don't vote a lot, and we're trying to correct that because we do have a voice. You can't be heard, okay? So, you know, that's really important. So right now, I'm going to introduce you guys to Mr. James Nelson. He's doing Proposition 30.
Okay. Proposition 30 plans to bring back funding for our school by temporarily increasing taxes. Sales and use taxes will increase by 1/4 for only 4 years, and personal income taxes will also increase for people who make over $250,000 annually for 7 years. This proposition guarantees funding for public school services, for example, the police department. It will also earn schools about $6 billion annually. If you vote yes on Proposition 30, you are agreeing to increase income and sales taxes to fund public schools. Fiscal controls make sure that the money is spent only for school and public safety. If anyone misuses the money, then they can be prosecuted. The taxes will bring in $6 billion for educational programs. If you vote no on Proposition 30, you are against the increase of taxes. Also, by voting no, you are saying that increasing taxes on the poor, on the people, is not the right way to earn funding for our schools. Thank you.
Proposition 31 is the reformation law for budget cuts across the state of California. It will establish a 2-year budget cycle and mandatory performance reviews. It will permit the governor to make budget cuts when emergencies arise without further approval, also limiting spending budgets for legislators to $25 million. If you say yes to Proposition 31, it will prevent politicians from spending more money than states can bring in. It will make money and trust in California's needs instead of individual needs. If you say no, we will avoid a flawed system where some politicians will be able to avoid loopholes and laws that they don't like. Proposition 31 will make it impossible to cut taxes and spend money on schools. Education is the first to go with budget cuts, so you decide which is the lesser of the two evils, which risk is better to take when getting back to a successful economy.
Prop 32. It will prohibit unions and certain types of corporations from using payroll-deducted funds to contribute to political candidates and campaigns. Simply put, it will just stop using workers' money to use towards political campaigns for whatever unions want to use. This exempts individuals such as LLCs, partnerships, and trusts. By voting yes, it will make political contributions strictly voluntary and prohibits paycheck deductions for political purposes. And this also ends the money time between special interests and politicians.
People that support voting no on Prop 32 says that the proposition is a lie. It promises political reform, but is totally designed by special interests to help themselves and harm their opponents. It says that it prohibits unions and corporations from using payroll-deducted funds, but 99% of California corporations don't use payroll-deducted funds for political giving. It's not what it seems, and it will not take money out of politics. Thank you.
Thank you. Proposition 33 is a law that will permit insurance companies to set prices based on whether you have previously carried auto insurance with anyone. If you have and you had a discount, when you switch to another company, that discount will come along with you. Or if for some reason you end up losing your job, you have an unlimited amount of time to get another insurance again, and then you will have your discount waiting for you. Right now, if you switch companies, insurance companies, your discount dies. Like I said before, Proposition 33 will correct this and will offer the discount to consumers who maintain automobile insurance with any company. Also, if you don't have insurance, this will encourage you to get insurance as it will be cheaper. If you vote no, then if you're a perfect driver or if you're an unsafe driver, either way, you will pay high rates. If you're a perfect driver, you would want to pay less, wouldn't you? Discount double check.
Proposition 34, the death penalty. Proposition 34 is a vote on whether or not the death penalty should be kept or abolished. If you are in favor of the proposition, you want to abolish the death penalty. One argument a person was in favor of the death penalty would submit and would talk about how it saves money that we can use for schools, nearly $1 billion in a period of 5 years. Another argument would mention how over 100 innocent people have been wrongly accused and put on the death penalty. In contrast, voting against Prop 34 would keep the death penalty in use. Someone against 34 would bring up how we basically treat murderers like royalty by feeding them, clothing them, and giving them a roof over their heads for killing someone. Another point would talk about how only 2% of people unanimously voted to be executed are actually killed, which wastes millions of dollars given the other 98% of people housing and healthcare. Is that really what you want? Thank you.
Prop 35 is all about protecting California's children from sex trafficking. It would make convicted sex traffickers file as sex offenders and charge caught sex traffickers with up to 15 years to life in prison and fines of up to $1.5 million, all with using only several $1 million on a state and national-wide basis.
Voting yes means ensuring the protection of our children and the future. Did you know that a recent national study gave California an F grade on child sex trafficking? And the FBI recognizes 3 cities in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego, as high-risk child sex trafficking areas.
And so voting no saves money which could be used for educational purposes and other state issues. And if Prop 35 passes, anyone receiving financial support for normal consensual prostitution, so if you accept money from a prostitute, will be registered as a sex offender for life. Thank you.
Prop 36 is a law that will change the penalties of criminals so persons convicted of a third strike felony will receive a life sentence only if their crime was violent. Prisoners with a non-violent crime can get their sentences reduced. Only people convicted of a felony pertaining to drugs, sex, or guns would be exempt from being able to change their life sentence. A yes on 36 will allow criminals convicted of non-violent third strike crimes to get their sentences reduced and do not have to serve life or a death penalty. No on 36 will keep criminals with previous and current violent crimes in jail. Non-violent crimes does not mean a non-violent criminal.
Proposition 37 is a law that requires labels to be put on all genetically engineered and all processed foods that contain ingredients that were genetically engineered. However, many things that we use today are exempt, including medicine and food served at restaurants. This will also have a budget impact of up to $1 million that the State Department of Public Health Services needs to do to put these labels on our foods, which will raise the cost of the food we buy today. A yes on 37 will allow us to know what foods are genetically engineered and what ingredients are not. And a no on 37 will allow genetically engineered foods to go unlabeled and keep hunger and food prices under control.